Hey, you've just stepped into the Caring Corner, where life's caregiving challenges meet a whole lot of heart and a dash of sass. I'm Mischelle O'Neal, and I'm here to serve up insights, inspiration, and real life tools to help you navigate caring for your kids and aging loved ones without forgetting about you. Expect everything from time management hacks and emotional wellness strategies to technology tips sprinkled with humor and tenacity. Are you ready? Let's get to it.
What if I told you that balance isn't about getting everything done? It's about knowing what truly matters today, right now. And right now, I want you to take a moment for yourself. I want you to breathe deeply and let go of the pressure just for a second. Let's create some space right here, right now. We're not here to conquer the world today, and that's okay. We're here to make space for ourselves so that we can answer when caregiving calls without losing ourselves. Hey, and welcome to the Caring Corner. I'm your host and resident emotional wellness coach, Mischelle O'Neal. And today, we're setting sustainable expectations and finding balance as a caregiver. Now, I know firsthand how overwhelming it can be when life throws new tasks and challenges at you every single day. It feels like everything is urgent, and somehow you're supposed to find time for yourself in the middle of all this. But I'm not here to give you one more thing to add to your list. Not today. No, today I'm going to talk about simple habits, little things that you can actually weave into your already busy day to find some balance without feeling like it's one more thing that you have to do. This episode is about integrating moments that restore you because if you're not caring for yourself, it becomes harder and harder to care for others. Because at that point, you're working from exhaustion and burnout. So, whether you're a caregiver to a loved one, a professional, or someone balancing multiple responsibilities, this space is for you. Together, we're going to explore strategies that don't overwhelm, but instead, they actually support you. I want to be really upfront and transparent about something. This isn't about teaching you to do more. It's about teaching you a skill that helps you wake up in the morning and keep going, a skill that gives you the breath that gives you life. It's not about piling more on your plate. It's about learning to let go of what you can't control and focusing on what truly matters. So let me ask you, what's your standard? How much room are you giving yourself for grace? I I think this is so important. And for me, it's all about setting three things every day, three doable things that I want to get done in a day. It's what I call my non-negotiables. These are things that come hell or high water, I need to get done to feel like I'm moving forward. But and this is the key, it's okay if life happens and I have to shift the timeline. I want you to really, really, really hear this. It's not about attaching your self-worth to your to-do list. Your worth is not what you do, it's in who you are. You're not a failure because your day didn't go as planned. Hey, life happens, and especially in caregiving. Life happens in ways that you couldn't imagine or predict. And so, how do we manage when things get thrown off course? What happens when something pulls you down a rabbit hole, or whether it's a sudden insurance issue that needs sorting, or an unexpected project that lands on your desk with a deadline that just can't be ignored? Or what about those real life moments that happen when you least expect them? A call from the school because your child is sick, or your kid is stranded and needs a ride, and suddenly your day gets derailed. These things are everyday life occurrences that happen to all of us. But when they're piled on top of an already stretched day, it can feel like you're drowning. Sometimes caregiving and life in general throws us something unexpected. You thought today would be about getting things done, crossing things off the list, but then an emergency happens. Or you suddenly need to show up for someone in a way that you didn't anticipate. In these moments, how do we regroup? How do we adjust and give ourselves the grace that we deserve without feeling like we've failed or feeling guilty? And here's the thing: shifting your day doesn't mean that you've lost. It doesn't mean that you're not moving forward. It means that you're adapting. And in caregiving, adaptability is one of the greatest skills that you can have. The key is to give yourself the space to breathe, to be flexible, and to understand that shifting isn't failing. Being adaptable, flexible, and innovative, it's being successful because you're doing what needs to be done without letting the chaos break you. Here's the thing: I'm not trying to give you more to do. The last thing you need is a list of tasks that feel like just one more obligation, right? I want to help you find little moments within the life that you're already living, moments that don't take extra time but offer a different perspective, what I'd like to call a small reframe. Hey, I get it. We don't always have that uninterrupted, peaceful morning where we can sit quietly and set our anchor for the day. Don't we wish we all? Life rarely gives us those perfect blocks of time, and especially when you're caregiving. But on those days when you find that moment, grab it like your life depends on it. And when you can't, here's what I want you to try instead: use the space you're in. Maybe you're making breakfast or getting ready for the day. Maybe you're feeding your loved one. These are moments that often feel mindless, things that you don't really have to think about, but you just do them because they're your routine, right? What if instead you set a quiet intention during those times? While you're pouring your coffee, ask yourself, what's the one thing today that will bring me joy? Just just one thing. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be yours. Maybe it's 10 minutes of quiet while you drink your coffee and you smell the aroma and you feel the warmth. Or maybe it's calling a friend, or even taking a walk, or taking a hot bath. What's the one thing that you can do today just for you? And if you're feeling adventurous, if you got a little extra energy to spare, ask yourself this: what's the one thing I can give someone else to bring them joy today? Now, I'm not saying this to add more weight to your already heavy load. I know you're already given so much. But here's something that I've learned. When we shift the focus off of ourselves, even for just a moment, and bring it back graciously to someone else, we feel that shift ourselves. It's not about losing yourself in the process. but recognizing the reciprocal benefit of lifting someone else up. But the thing that I want you to recognize is that we all have these hidden, quiet moments in our day, moments where we don't even realize that we have space to breathe. I want to encourage you to start practicing deep breathing in those moments. You don't need an hour to meditate. You can still a few moments that you wouldn't even think about. Waiting for that coffee to brew, sitting in the car, waiting for the doctor. Shoot, even when you're washing the dishes, or dare I say it, taking a quick bathroom break. Think about all those times you sat there thumbing through your phone, looking at the reels or reading a book. So yeah, I said it, even during those bathroom breaks. It may sound silly, but these are real usable pockets of time right in the middle of your day, whenever you have them, whenever you can take them. Take 3 deep breaths as a reset. And here's why it matters. When you breathe deeply, your body literally shifts out of that fight or flight mode into a calmer state. It reduces stress hormones and it clears your mind and helps you feel more present. Physically, it lowers your heart rate and your blood pressure. And psychologically, it pulls you out of overwhelm and plants you back into the moment. So the next time you're waiting in line, you're in the car, in the restroom, wherever, turn that moment of waiting into something valuable. It's not wasted time. It's time to reset. It's time to give yourself a quick breath, a pause. And let me tell you that doing something small for others feels good because it releases oxytocin, the hormone that's responsible for bonding and connection. Even in tiny ways, it is given benefits to the other person. But it also gives you a natural boost in mood and well-being. And the science behind breathing is real. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for the body's rest and digest state. Calming the mind and reducing anxiety is not just woo-woo, it's psychological facts. And now, one of the best gifts that you can give yourself is taking the guesswork out of what you do every day. I can't stress this enough. Having simple checklists, even for tasks that you've done 1,000,000, 1,000 times, it's not about having to be perfect. It's about reducing the mental load and giving yourself some breathing room. And there we are, back to that breathing, right? I know this sounds basic, but it works. I take it so seriously that I've got checklists for everything from my work tasks to my personal errands to the things I do in my daily caregiving role. If it's not on paper, it's a voice reminder somewhere. And why do I do this? Because I've seen time and time again how not using these lists costs me both time and emotional heart and headache. There is nothing worse than forgetting something important, something that you've done 100 times before, only to have it throw your whole day off. Whether it's a step that you miss that forces you to start all over again, or worse, realizing that you just don't have the time or the energy to fix that mistake. And so you're left scrambling, beating yourself up because how did I forget that? How did I miss that? Let me give you a perfect example. How many times have you made a recipe you've done 1,000 times before, but somehow this day you forget a key ingredient? Baking soda, salt, baking powder, something important. Or you can't remember the exact temperature to set the oven, so you cook it too fast, or it takes forever to cook. Now, if you're anything like me, the result is usually, well, it's less than edible. Nobody wants it. And in my case, it often goes straight to the trash or down the garbage disposal. So I've learned that even when I think I know the recipe by heart, I'll still pull out that recipe. And then as I'm fixing it and cooking it and putting everything together, before I reach that point of no return, like putting the muffins in the muffin pan or putting everything in the pan to go in the oven, I'll take another glance at that recipe and I double check to make sure that I haven't missed anything. And to be totally truthful, the older we get, the worse this gets and the more often it happens, right? But forgetting a vital ingredient in a recipe doesn't mean that I'm a terrible cook. It just means I forgot something. That's it. And I could have saved myself from that disaster by giving my brain a break and using that list, the recipe. How many times have you gone to the grocery store and because you didn't make a list, forgot to get something, and you get all the way back home and you realize you got to go back, or you just can't make what you wanted to make because you don't have that? So why do we resist this when it comes to what we do daily, whether it's in our caregiving routines or work tasks, or even the small things that we juggle in our personal lives? Having a checklist isn't a sign of failure. It's a way to create space in your brain so you're not using all your mental energy to remember the little stuff. It's still a constant struggle for me because on the surface, it seems like it's actually too much effort, too much to do up front. But every time, like I talked about that grocery list, every time I don't take the time to do it, I forget something. It never fails, or I prove myself wrong. And here's where this plays into how we feel at the end of the day. Your worth is not tied to the task that you complete. Your value is in showing up, especially when it's messy and things shift. The lists are just there to help you, not to control you. When you take the pressure off of trying to do everything perfectly from memory, you give yourself the freedom to actually focus on what really matters. So the next time that you feel like you're drowning in your responsibilities, ask yourself, what's one thing that I can take off my mental plate by, well, writing it down? What can I make easier for myself tomorrow? Because if you're already doing so much, why not make it easier on yourself next time? Your value isn't tied to a checklist or the number of tasks that you finish. Your value is in showing up, even on the days when things don't go as planned. It's how you adapt and keep going, even when things get messy. That's your real accomplishment. Every day you give so much of yourself to your loved ones, to your responsibilities, to the world around you at large. But my hope for you is this, that you also give to yourself. Even in the smallest ways, you don't need to wait for the perfect moment or the perfect day. Balance isn't about having a flawless checklist. It's about finding breath, peace, and grace in the life that you're already living. So I invite you to ask yourself today, where is my breathing space? Where is my grace? And here's the most critical part. Know that wherever you find it, that's enough. You're enough. Listen, if today's message resonated with you and gave you a moment to exhale, I encourage you to share this with another caregiver who might need to hear it too. We're all in this together. And sometimes the best thing we can do is to offer someone else the grace that we're learning to give ourselves. And don't forget, subscribe for more insights and more ways to build balance and peace into your life. You deserve it. You truly deserve it. I want to thank you for joining me today on the Caring Corner, and I'm Mischelle O'Neal. Until next time, stay resilient, stay strong, and keep moving forward. Most importantly, we should find grace in the little things because the little things carry us through. Remember, if this episode brought you even a moment of peace or reflection, pass it along to someone else who might need that same space. And make sure that you hit subscribe and leave a review for more ways to create balance. And make sure that you hit subscribe for more ways to create balance and ease into your life. You deserve this time for you. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, that's a wrap for today at the Caring Corner. We've tackled some big topics, but remember, you're not in this alone. Subscribe to keep the wisdom and warmth coming. And stay tuned for amazing guests who'll be joining us to help round out your caregiving toolkit. Catch you next time and keep conquering those challenges.